The classic Genoese pesto is a great summer dish made up of basil, pine nuts, cheese, garlic, and olive oil. And all we're doing with this green beet pesto is using less basil, adding a bunch of green peas, and then dropping the pine nuts. What results is a slightly sweeter sauce that tastes really close to the OG version, except it's higher protein and lower fat, which I'm all about, and it's cheaper too since those pine nuts can be damn expensive, along with needing way less basil. Did I also mention it's perfect for whipping up pasta dishes, pizzas, or salads in no time? Simply put, this is one worth trying out this summer. So today we're going to be using the food processor method, which makes this come together in like 2 to 3 minutes. You could use a mortar and pestle, just the peas kind of overfill my mortar and pestle, so I kind of stay away from it for this version. But we're going to make the pesto, and then I'll show you guys a couple of different ways that you can actually use it. Let's break it down. To start, get out 150 grams of fresh or frozen peas and add a sprinkle of salt. And if you are using fresh peas like I am here, add a couple of spoonfuls of water, then place a paper towel over the top, then microwave these for about 3 minutes, during which that water will help steam the fresh peas. Now, I should note, you could just use the raw peas right away, but I do prefer the taste of cooked ones. To a food processor, toss in the 150 grams of peas, 2 cloves of garlic, 15 grams of olive oil, 10 grams of butter for some creaminess, and then a little handful of basil, probably about 10 leaves, a 30 gram piece of Parmesan Reggiano, and 20 gram piece of Romano cheese, then pulse everything together. Now, while blending, I should point out that any herbs or aromatics work here. You could try parsley or fresh oregano instead of basil, or maybe feta cheese in place of the Parm Reg. Once everything is loosely chopped, I like to add 10 more grams of oil to slowly drizzle in the top while pulsing to make this become cohesive. Once blended, give the pesto a taste, and this is where you gotta use those senses. For me, I like to add a couple cranks of black pepper and spritz in about a quarter of a lemon to brighten everything up before blending it together. And this is an absolutely pivotal step that takes the pesto from pretty good to, oh shit, that's delicious. Now, this pea pesto is definitely best fresh, but will keep for a couple of days in the fridge, and this is where things get fun. Let me show you 3 easy ways to use it. So we're going to start off with a little bit of pasta, and first I sliced some hot coppa that my dad had sent me, and I also prepped some garlic and snap peas. Now, at the stove, I added a bit of oil to the pan and tossed in the meat to crisp up and render out some of that excess fat. Next, I tossed in the sugar snap peas and the garlic to let everything saute down for just a couple of minutes and develop some of those flavors and get some color on there. Meanwhile, I've got some spaghetti boiling on the side, and I'm also going to reserve some of this liquid once I strain it. Then to assemble, all I did was toss the cooked pasta into a large bowl, followed that with the snap peas and garlic cooked in the fat, added a large spoonful or 2 of the pea pesto, and then drizzle in that pasta water to create a cohesive sauce that sticks to our pasta. Also, at the last minute, I did decide to toss in some chopped cherry tomatoes in the pasta for some color and a little bit of textural difference. Now, spoon this onto a plate, sprinkle some more fresh parm over the top, and you have one of the freshest summer pastas in the time that it takes to boil your pasta water. Dish number 2 is kind of a riff off a macaroni and a pasta salad. And first, I just chopped up some red peppers, baby broccoli, and carrots, and then tossed all that in the bowl, followed by some cooked and cooled pasta. For the dressing, I added 50 grams of the pea pesto, 20 grams of mayo, and then I poured in some pickled onion liquid before just mixing everything together. Pour that dressing over the pasta and veggies, then I grated in some pecorino romano over the top and mixed everything together for a really simple cold pasta dish. And this also stores really well in the fridge, so make a bunch if you're going down this route. Now the next option is using this pea pesto as a dip or a spread. And I had some pizza dough in the fridge that I placed on an aluminum baking sheet, then I just spread the pesto over into a really thin layer. I followed that with some fresh mozzarella, some homemade roasted peppers. Before tossing in the oven, I rubbed a little olive oil on the crust and just sprinkled some garlic powder over it for that flavor, then popped it into the 500-degree Fahrenheit oven and let it go to work. Once the crust was browned to my liking and the cheese was melted, I pulled it out, Added some pickled onions, a little crumbling of feta cheese, and I also give it a little sprinkle of oregano before slicing and enjoying.
All right, everybody, so in conclusion, you gotta give this pea pesto a shot. It's perfect for those situations where maybe you just have a little bit of basil or some other herb you're trying to use up, and you can create it in a sauce, have this ready to go in your fridge to create, you know, pasta salad, pizza, other pasta dishes. But that's gonna wrap it up for me in this one. If you make some creations, send them to me on Instagram. Probably gonna crush the rest of this pizza for lunch, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.